Today we're going to dive into a little dog training 101. Do you feel like your dog's a little unpredictable when it comes to sitting or lying down, or when you ask them to stay, you're not really sure how long they're going to do that for? The reality is the unpredictable one here is probably you. And by the end of this video, I'm going to help you fix that. I'm Ken Steep, and welcome back to McCann Dogs. We help more than 500 dog owners every single week to overcome the same dog training challenges that you have. So if this is your first time on the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button so that I can help you to have a well-behaved, four-legged family member. Your dog isn't a mind reader. Imagine what it would be like if they were, though. Every time we train our dog, we want to be clear, consistent, and fair. You work pretty hard to have reliable and speedy responses to all of your verbal cues. But how does your dog know when their job is done? Is it when you move away? Is it after you've rewarded? Your dog really needs a more definitive cue to let them know that they can stop doing whatever it is that they're doing. You're going to see that you struggle with stationary exercises, for example, more if your dog really doesn't know when they're allowed to move. For our release word, we use the word okay. And okay doesn't specifically mean that you're allowed to move. It just means you can stop doing whatever it is we've asked you to do. Using the McCann method, we have two stationary hold skills. One's a stay, it's a little more formal, and one's a wait, and it includes a remote release. So for the stay, we'd return to our dog's side and we'd say, okay, but with the wait, we can be at any position, any distance, and say, okay, and our dog is released.
Yeah, good girl, all right, be all right. Good job,
Maybe you're
buddy.
working on your walking on a loose leash skill with your dog in at your side, and you see them giving really great effort. They've been in position for a longer period than normal. You can use your okay, and all that okay means is that they don't need to work so hard in at your side.
Okay, go ahead. Okay, go ahead. Or you can even use your okay when you want your dog to go sniff the grass or go potty. That way there's no confusion when you ask them to get back in at your side. Here, me. See, get in. Good girl. Let's go. Good girl. Nice. Let's go.
They can maybe move around in front of you, and maybe you can have a game of tug or do something that's fun for them. But that okay just means you can stop giving me that amazing attention and being in that tight position at my side. Just a short editorial break as I'm literally editing today's video. We had a great question come in on the YouTube channel on one of our other videos, and I'm going to paraphrase a little bit from Cameron Hughes. She asks, for leash training, we are working in the house and the yard, but how do you suggest handling the everyday walks just when she's beginning to learn to walk on my left-hand side? And she also mentions that she goes on 2 30-minute walks every day. And this is the perfect example of using that release command with your dog, whether you use okay or whatever word you choose. It isn't fair to expect your young dog in training to walk for 30 minutes in that great at your side position. It's probably a little overwhelming for them, and you want to set them up to be successful. So break things down a little bit. You know, in this example, I might tell Cameron to pick 2 light standards on your walk and ask your dog to get in at your side and walk with that great attention. And when you get to the second one, you can tell your puppy or young dog, okay, and they can break it off a little bit. You know, maybe 2 more light standards down your walk, you can ask them to get back in. That way you're really reinforcing the great choices, and you're not struggling to maintain their attention for that entire time. And now back to your regularly scheduled program. You can use this release word in your training for your dogs to exercise a little bit more self-control. For example, when we let our dogs out of their crates, we'll open the door, but they're not allowed to run out until we've said, okay. This is especially helpful if you are maybe in a busy parking lot with your dog in your vehicle and you let them out of their crate, or even if you have them in the back seat and you're allowing them out. They're not allowed to leave. You can clip your leash on and then you say, okay, once you're ready. By using this word, you immediately become more predictable. You expect your dog to keep doing whatever it is you've asked them to do until you use that release word. You do need to be a little bit self-aware though when you use this release word. For example, if I reward my dog, then say okay, and then reward my dog and then say okay, reward my dog and then say okay, what do you think your dog's going to expect the next time you reward them? They're going to expect you to say okay. And the same thing goes for motion. We talked about the wait skill a little bit earlier, and it's such a valuable skill. But if I ask my dog to wait at the bottom of the stairs, and then every single time I get halfway up, I release them, they're going to start to expect that every time I hit that halfway point, they're allowed to go. So be really self-conscious and self-aware of when you're using that release word, and mix it up a little bit. Mix up the timing of your okay, and mix up the distances that you're releasing your dog from, and really soon you're going to start to see better longevity in your stays, for example. You're going to see your dog remaining in position even when tough distractions go by, because they know that it's your expectation that they remain there until you release them. I mentioned our stationary skills videos a little bit earlier, and I think that's a great place for you to start using your predictable release word. So click that card right there. On that note, I'm Ken. Happy training.